Did you tell them you were tuning? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage. And Biker Boy just got busted doing an 85 and a 45 tuning. ABT in it. Ah, brother. Been there. In fact, the worst I ever got hit with was 110 and a 45. I was passing a semi, though. I mean, come on. Yeah, sometimes ABT is a bad advice. Maybe you should have been doing tuning the low speed portion of the VE table. It said Biker Boy got pulled over doing 40 over. Poor guy doing data logs. Did you tell him scientific stuff was happening? I was doing scientific stuff. There's math and computers involved. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage. Welcome to another live show on a Thursday night. And it's Thursday, Friday here. So we're drinking a Truly right now. Got to get some stuff done tomorrow. Taking it easy. A lot of familiar faces in here. Thanks everybody that joined me in the chat a little bit early today. We're talking about some stuff. I've got some questions for you guys, but I'm going to let the viewers spin up here. We're up to 33. Oh, my story. I got busted doing 110 in a 45, but I was passing a semi. Semi cut me off. I was doing the speed limit. I go to pass the semi. I'm in my C6 Vet at the time. I'm doing 50, 55 mile an hour or so. And I'm in a passing zone. But up ahead, in the corner, a car comes flying out of nowhere. And I'm halfway past the semi. So I just laced into it. Pull over. Get in front of the semi real quick. Turns out the car was a hypo. And pulled me over. I was like, dude, I was doing 40 miles an hour before you came around the curve. Like, literally, like, you came around the curve, you were speeding, and I had to accelerate to make sure that you didn't hit me. Either that or I had to lock up the brakes. He didn't get to. He dropped me down to a 93, I think it was. He put me down to the verge of going to jail. Congratulations, John. Number 2 on the list. One more to beat. Oh, nice. Toyota King just started working for a Euro shop. Ooh. 160 and a 65. That'll get you. That sucks. That sucks, John. You know, if everybody ran mufflers, it probably wouldn't happen. Hey, Ollie. Welcome back to the garage. Good to see you again. Even though I can't see you, you can see me. So, I'm sure you guys saw the video. Literally today, I put the new wideband in, got all that stuff set up. I smoked the wire, like straight up melted. I was shooting a video Tuesday, which obviously did not come out. And things are a little bit hot. Those headers were a little warm. Does not help that there's not a lot of timing at idle right now, which just generates a lot of heat underneath there. So, sitting there pontificating upon the changes that we're making on virtual volumetric efficiency, all of a sudden my wideband dies. I pull it back up in the driveway, take a look at it. I'm like, oh yeah, just melted jello underneath there. And I mean, it was... There's good 4 or 5 inches, just so hot. So it was a good opportunity to switch over to the fail-safe wideband, the fail-safe. If you haven't watched that video, go check that out after the stream. Pretty happy with it, except for, you know, the couple things that suck about it, which is the fact that it's a 4.2 sensor and there's no serial out on it. Just having fun, but time to head home. Well, that's nice. Blew up the diff in my 92 Chevy Suburban, so swapping to a 6 Slug 14. There you go. There you go. If I'm not mistaken, I think the guts in mine are the 14 bolts, because whenever I did my diff and stuff like that, they did not have the stuff out for the newer trucks yet. About to say south of the house, south of Houston, multiple 25 plus. You just cursed yourself, Juice Performance. Watch your speed. Houston's got so many great places for speeding, though. That and nobody does the speed limit in Houston. It's kind of like Pittsburgh here. 20 over is the speed limit basically everywhere you go around here. 6 lug. Yeah, Danny, I ended up running the wires down the frame rail and underneath this time, so there's no wires above the headers. They were above the headers. These speed engineering headers take up so much real estate, there's really nowhere to get above them without getting close to heat. What's done to my trans? Not a thing. I am not spending any money on that trans, because we will be going over to a Turbo 400 very soon. Correct. 9.5-inch rear ring gear, which is the same size as the 2014s and beyond. But whenever I did the upgrades on my 2015, there was no upgrades for it at that point in time, and so everything was a conversion to allow you to run the older 14-bolt stuff. But no, I don't have money. I just got credit. I got to pay all this stuff back. Currently tuning VVE, open loop when cold. Cars run super lean. Andrew, check your cylinder air temp bias. And there's some stuff, I might do a video on this here recently. There's some stuff that you can do on the injector side that correlates with temperatures, but it's way too deep to get in right now. Yeah, Houston traffic, whenever I go down to Houston, it is like an escape. Everybody goes fast, but they don't tailgate like the idiots in Pittsburgh. I will be busy, Catan, but I will be checking email, so email me. You have any videos for tuning something like an LS swap with the TH400 without running an electronics through the trans, such as the Dakota Digital VSS? No, I do not, Daniel. There's got to be somebody out there that has some videos on the Dakota Digital stuff. So it's pretty straightforward, though. And I've done similar stuff, not necessarily, but running electronics transmission, specifically the Project Country Club has a standalone, and so I had to do a lot of different stuff on that to get all that crap to work. Does the truck feel like it has more or less? No, it's way more. Like scary amounts more. Scary amounts more power. On way less boost. It's running way less boost. As I said, I went from a 4.2 inch pulley down to a 3.4, making about the same boost as beforehand. The motor just breathes so much better, and is a little bit spooky. There's nothing really special to turn off. No, Daniel. Big single or twin turbo for the track-only drag car? Big single. That's my opinion. Somebody else might say that. Have you ever had issues with a wire on a wideband getting nicked and giving false state? No, generally if a wire on the sensor itself gets nicked, it's not going to read in at all. You're going to get errors. Would turndowns cause false knock? Speed engineering exhaust of Silverado, and the knock is inconsistent in places. Did checks, nothing rubbing frame. Yeah, I mean, you can, anytime you go to a long tube, you have the chance of getting false knock. So turndowns are not. 2009 CTSV HP tuners is showing a little flicker on TPS PID. Anybody see this? Like, how big of a flicker are we talking about, Zipperado? Danny, it's not bad. It's not bad. Hey, Wallace. Nelson, I did, unless you signed up in the last couple days. It's been a couple days since I sent out updated info. I will send out updated info again tomorrow. If you have not gotten your info for the classes, though, email me at info@GoRopeGarage. And here's something that you need to be aware of. The address that you use to sign up or go through the website, that's the one that the info goes to. Sometimes that stuff will get filtered into spam, things like that. But you should have gotten an invite, unless, as I said, you signed up in the last day or two. And so I don't update it every day. I go about every 3 days or so, and then I'll send it. So if you haven't got it, shoot me an email, and I will double check and make sure that you're on the list and that you've gotten it. Theory, can you pull the lifter trays and get a magnet? Well, if you pull the lifter trays, if you spin the cam with the lifter trays in, all of the lifters will lock into the lifter trays and then come out with the lifter trays. Trying to reduce torque below 2,000, putting zeros, ETC TPS max table didn't work, but I thought it would reduce spark advance. Go negative. But, Ross, well, hold on a second. Ross, I don't know. Send me an email. I'd like to look at your setup. There might be some other ways of doing that. I know that your ECM is pretty locked down, but let's look at it. Shape for Life. Desensitized knock sensors. Oh, okay. Yep. That makes sense. Yeah, I know, Ross. That one is terrible. Daniel, Brick PCMs is the way to get a hold of you. Yeah, you can hit me up at info@GoRopeGarage or check out the Patreon. Question for, and I don't know, somebody might have an answer on here. I'm looking, it's about time to start speccing out my cage for the truck, to build our roll cage for the truck. Help me out here. All the stuff that I see says that if it is a vehicle that is on a frame, that the cage has to be attached to the frame, which kind of spooks me. I'd rather do floor plates, because honestly, if something were to happen where you were in a bad enough wreck and the body were to separate from the frame, the last thing I want to do is the body smashing me between the cage. Now I know DOM, I'm going DOM, I'm not going to mess with chromoly, but oh, you're asking Brick PCMs about questions. I thought you were asking me. If both of you guys email me at info@GoRopeGarage.com, I will pass that information back and forth between you guys. I don't care. Well, floor plates was what I was thinking, but you're saying floor plates and frame. This is a very interesting topic. In fact, I was looking at some companies that make cages that are certified, can be certified for IHRA and NHRA, and they show floor mounts, floor pads, you know, the 6x6s, for trucks, but at the same time, as I said, the truck has a frame, so why would you not be required to go down to the frame? Understandably, the frame might be wider than the body section for the most part, and you would have to run outriggers. Why are the plugs on the coils so hard to unplug? Danny, try turning them a little bit. Generally, if you're pulling and turning, they will pop loose. But you are correct. They are very positive locking on those. Even with dielectric grease on, John, man, those things seem like they lock down. Yeah, container. All the drawings that I see for a lot of these guys that are building spec drag racing truck roll cages are showing body plates mounted for your four main points. You know, your fronts and your rears. I guess I need to call a fabricator, somebody that's done this stuff before, because it is there's some weird terminology on all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. There's some weird terminology that goes around on that stuff, and it's like, eh. Biker boy, make sure that you're not logging SAE throttle, because around 86% is going to be max throttle on SAE. I'm going to hire some college kids to build mine. Cool. Any comments on the Holley Terminator X system? I love it. Plate from frame to body. Steven, elaborate. Plate from, so you go down to a plate, then what? Yeah, I know. I was hoping Dirtfloor would jump on here. I'd be interested to know what his take was on it. You body plate to the bottom to the frame to tie your plates in the cab. So Jeff says you go down to plates on the body like you normally would, 6-inch plates, and then under the plates you go down to the frame. So, or do you do the pipes all the way through the body and then plate around the pipe, drill a hole through the plate, and then sandwich two plates? Interesting. Okay. Well, there's no flat parts on the body. Like, how are you sandwiching plates when there's not a flat plate anywhere? Oh, John, there it is, but trust me, it's complicated, annoying. A BFH on the body or the plate? Well, metal does bend, but I mean, we're talking. Some of this stuff is I don't know if you sandwich in the floor, they will make them match contours in the floor. On the body, you have to make it flat. Ugh. Sounds terrible. Sucks going fast. Elaborate, Jeff. Make it with a through puck tubing. Well, Danny, that's what I thought too. Well, I mean, plates aren't even that thick. It's like 1/8 inches all they require. Well, I don't have a crew cab, so. Yeah, Biker Boy, I'm going to have to run a door bar. You said no one ever sucks going fast. Well, it's expensive and complicated. To the body, then frame. So confusing. What up, LSX? I'm so confused right now. I've already done the hard part, WMR Performance. I've done the hard part. I've made the truck fast. Now they want it to be safe. Yeah, I'll do the clevis setup for the door bars, so I can just take them out whenever we're not running. Safety third. Hey, I put a fail-safe gauge in today to keep the motor safe. What's more important than that? That's exactly right, Chevy for Life. Well, the door bar has to be mounted between your shoulder and your elbow. There's rules on that. There's rules on everything. Which size cooling fan is the best? Or what is best? The biggest one you can run for your radiator. Is that a good enough answer, Theo? The tack throttle body motor runs on 12 volts. Most likely because all the older systems, LSX, were all 12 volts. There wasn't any 5 volt systems on those thirds. Truck came with seat belts. What else do you need? Well, the first time I took the truck out before you even made a pass on it, they were like, "You're not going to be able to race with the factory seat belts on here." And I was like, "Dude, I haven't even run this truck yet. You're threatening to kick me off?" Then I ran 19s and blew the motor up. So obviously I can run with the factory seat belts. The biggest one that will fit, Theo. The biggest one that will fit. The Ozman. I call you Theo. You're another one that has a nickname because of it. You're the Ozman 38, but you're also Theo. Exactly. I was in the pits. We were waiting on rain, and there's a dude in a factory Ford F-250 diesel sitting beside me. He's like, "Man, you're going to dust me." I was like, I wouldn't count on that. I was like, "You're probably going to beat me, man." It's like, don't worry about it. Like, yeah, it's, it should be making a little north of 600, but you'll probably beat me. And then lo and behold, I had black smoke coming out of the back of it before I got done. That's not a problem now, though. Exactly. It was like, hopefully you're in front of me before this thing lets go. And he was. I was doing 4,000 RPMs the whole way down the track. This is not going to be an issue. Custom intercoolers and radiators that are modular. I have not seen Richard's most recent video. I love Richard to death, don't get me wrong, but man, he pumps a video out every single day, and it is a little bit too much to take in for me sometimes. Oh, I know Chevy for life. I hunted him down in the pits and beat him up after that. So Chevy still won't. No, I didn't. He's a nice kid. The worst part about it is the only person there that recognized me was a guy in a Ford Mustang. And I'm like, well, what was going on? I got some cool stuff coming out here soon for you guys, especially you Gen 4 and Gen 5 guys. Gen 4s, we're testing some new ways of tuning volumetric efficiency, virtual volumetric efficiency. I don't know if it'll be more efficient or not. I really like the data that I'm getting back on it. And then we are going to touch on a lot of torque stuff. Okay, hold on a second. Nobody asked me questions for like 5 minutes. I'm going on a rant. You guys are lucky. You're getting a rant out of me. No raffle tonight, Jonathan. But trust me, we are going to have a very big raffle at 30,000, and we are very close. So we'll be giving something big away. So, diving more into torque tuning, trying to sort out all of this weird, crappy stuff that is torque tuning on Gen 5s and things like that. I am trying to absorb as much information as possible over the last couple years. And there's no definitive information out there. There are people, there are a person out there that thinks he knows everything about torque tuning. He doesn't, he likes to call himself a calibrator. He thinks he knows everything about torque tuning. So I went out of my way. I spent, I don't know, $25 for a video. It was like 15 minutes long. 15 minutes long. Supposedly, how to adjust your torque tables. Blah, 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 blah. So he spends 12 minutes talking about, I'm pretty sure, how he is a professional and how he knows all this stuff because of all of his experience on calibrating OEMs. And that was literally like the first 12 minutes of this 20-minute video. And he goes, HB tuners puts this data out wrong. I don't buy that because I have logged thousands of hours between me and people that send me data logs looking at torque settings in torque tuning, right? Thousands of hours, looked at data logs, looked at how torque plays with the virtual torque tables, things like that. And it's like, well, this table is actually, this data over here does not represent what it is. HP Tuners is wrong in this information, and they don't apply this information properly, and this is a delta off of MBT and all this other BS that he spews on there, which is, I don't buy it. I don't think it's true. The guys over at HP Tuners do not think it's true. If you look at the documentation that they have put out on that, they say exactly what it is. And if you log the data and look at it, it aligns. It lines up to what you're seeing. Even though this man who calls himself a calibrator that apparently knows everything and will say that he knows everything, says otherwise. So take it with a grain of salt. Nonetheless, I watched this thing and he goes, I figured out a way to tune these tables. I figured out a way to tune these tables. I'm going to show you how. Fade to black. And then comes back and goes, well, I did all the hard work. Now let's look at the results of my tuning. And I'm like, what the hell, man? What the hell? You just said, literally, I figured this out. I'm going to show you the workaround for tuning this. I'm going to show you the workaround for tuning this. Fades to black, comes back and says, okay, here's the results that I got. And it's like, what? I paid $25 for 20 minutes of video for you to say, I figured it out, I'm going to show you how to do it, and then he doesn't show you a damn thing. Okay, so, needless to say, this man has been banned from my channel for trying to start crap. Smart gentleman. I've never claimed that he is not a smart gentleman, but one thing that really cracked me up what really cracked me up, hold on a second. Let me see if I can do this. Let's launch. I'm going to launch the editor. Oh God, this is my favorite part. And it's just one of those things. It's like, are you smart or are you just that dumb? Okay. Let me see if I can get a window pulled up here so you guys can see what I'm seeing. I'm sorry, I know I'm taking up all this airtime here. Okay, how do I get, let's try this one. Boop, okay, here we go. Here we got a 2016 CTS-V. We're going to open up the virtual torque table. Let me pull it over here so you can see it. Here's the virtual torque table. Move me out of the way. Okay, this is great. This is great. This guy's going through this table, and he expands this thing out. For one, he says, air mass is the only one that you need to worry about. No, that's absolutely not true. That is 1,000% false. For one, air mass is not where your idle is calculated whenever you're in dynamic air mode. MAP is what controls your idle. But air mass, he expands this thing out. And he's like, we're going out to, I'm tuning a 1,000 horsepower Corvette. Tuning a 1,000 horsepower Corvette. So he goes out there and he makes all these changes. Then he looks at it and he's like, well, here we are. We're running 748 Newton meters. He goes, if we do the math, horsepower times 1.4 gets Newton meters. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, what do you mean do the math? I was like, how about you just click this button and change it over to foot pounds? You're an expert and you don't even know that you can literally just toggle between your units? You're over here telling people to do math instead of oh God. I tell you what. Okay. I will now officially step off my soapbox. And I will tell you one thing. I'm sorry if I got a little bit distorted there. I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to put out a lot of data here soon, video specifically on this topic, on virtual torque tuning, that is correct. I will show you exactly what I do, how I make these adjustments, how the engine responds to these adjustments, and why we need to make these adjustments. So I wonder if there's a way I can just fade to black all the time. I'll just fade to black in the middle of my videos and then come back and be like, I fixed it. I did it right. I'm not going to show you how, though. Okay. Sorry. Now I'm back. ABC, baby. 1, 2, 3. Okay, Jeff. Oh, no, John. Danny, your shirt is sitting over here where it was sitting 2 weeks ago. It's on the list of things. Listen, Catan, I almost did a video just a review video of how many times he says he's an expert and a professional. Do you do remote tuning for somebody that has HP tuners? Yes, I do, Joe. Check out the website, goatropegarage.com. If there are no spots available, because I only do limited tuning slots at a time to mitigate getting too spread out and, just focus in. I like to focus in on who I'm working with. Let me know, because I've got a couple that are coming up that'll be finished up here soon. Jeremy, I don't use his name on the channel, but he is successfully calibrated, if that makes any sense. Yeah, Voldemort. Honestly, I gave the guy multiple opportunities to be a productive member of the community, the tuning community, and say, hey, because he literally came out and was like, oh, this is totally wrong. And I was like, nah, I don't think so, because I've got data to back this up. But if you say it's wrong, let's talk about it. I'd be interested to hear your theory. We could test these things out. I'm totally open to a dialogue. And his response was, well, you can buy my videos. I'm like, bro, I ain't buying your videos. You don't know as much as you think you do. I know that you sold yourself on this whole ordeal, but you're not selling me on it, bro. So, but the nice thing about it is he was polite enough to name drop me on some random podcast at some point in time. So apparently, he's skirt. Sleeper Auto, have you ever figured out the Chevy Shake? Honestly, I need to get it up to speed. I've changed so much stuff. And I'm anxious to see. I don't even remember if my truck shakes anymore. I may have fixed it in the meantime and not realized I did something to fix it. Torque converters still do. So. Oh, sorry, Jeremy. I hate to badmouth other people, but the tuning school just is not worth it. It is just any money, not worth any money. There are solutions out there. There are people that provide good information, and unfortunately, the tuning school is just not one of them. And I'll go on the record and say that at this point in time, I don't care. Voldemort in the tuning school. Man, I hate to hear it. PLX wideband showing 14.5 on the gauge. When I log, I am reading 9 to 1 lambda. I'm commanding 14.3. Well, Gravel Drive, here's the thing. What you are seeing on your gauge is a calculation that the gauge is doing for your wideband. Your wideband is reading in lambda. All widebands read lambda. That's what they do. They read lambda, and then it does a calculation to make it show up as AFR on your gauge. So, there is a couple things that could be showing 14.5 on the gauge, even though I would probably trust the reading of the 1 lambda. For one thing, you could have 10% ethanol in your fuel or something like that could be skewing it off. Francisco, yes, add barometric pressure, map pressure, and then if you go into the default math that HP Tuners provides, there is a pressure ratio math in there already. Scary stuff. Do you think a bad dip in voltage because of a shorting fan relay could cause a correlation difference between the APP pedal sensors and the TP sensors at the throttle body? Should not. LSX should not. The pedal sensors and the TP sensors are specifically designed to be on their own circuits, and they are primary or critical circuits. So the voltages to those should be steady to the point of shutting down non-system critical electronics in the vehicle. The BCM handles that. If it sees voltage dip below a certain point, the BCMs will actually shunt electricity to non-critical systems to make sure that critical systems stay within the required voltage to properly work. So that should not be an issue. If you have an issue between the pedal sensor and the throttle body sensor, you probably have a wiring issue that you need to sort out. Stephen S., I think we've established that all generations will read lambda. You're looking for commanded EQ. John, what tool are you talking about? See you, Tyler. Francisco, any chance that we make a video on end of injector timing? Eventually. I'll be honest with you, Francisco, that is just, start of injection and end of injection is just one of those things that more people mess around with it than is probably necessary. Unless your cam has some really weird stuff going on with overlap and stuff like that, a lot of times your factory settings are going to suffice. Why would bank 1, sensor 1 read 350 millivolts or more than bank 2? The one that is steady is probably bad, Colin. Danny, disappearing wideband. I talked about this on one of the recent videos. Go into your device manager, look underneath COM ports. Here, let's do this. Let's move this over here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's go into device manager. If you come into device manager, I don't have any COM ports on this, but if you were to look for COM ports in here, make sure that the only one that is showing up is your serial to USB. Delete the other ones. A lot of time what you'll find is there'll be like Bluetooth COM ports and stuff like that on there. Delete those. That'll generally fix that problem. Gen 3 speed histogram only works on 15 straight across, then after second try didn't work. An all new map set up just like your video. I'm using an Invade LC2 and have a Mustang dyno I'm using. If it is only working on one row, that means that the columns parameter is not being logged. East Coast. So look at your histogram. You've got your columns, you've got your rows. These are two separate data points that have to be in the channel configuration, and then the information in the histogram itself generally is math. In our case, we're using like AFR or EQ error ratio. You have to trace back to the math, pull up the math menu, make sure that all of the data input is there in order to get the data output. Best way to transfer tunes from one laptop to another, just copy them over, man. I have HP tuners, just haven't had time to really watch all of the videos. Basics, how to write a tune, change those things, but I think it'd be easier right now just for me to buy a tune. And Justin, you know, if you are working on your daily driver, yeah, it might be easier to buy a tune. If you have other means of conveyance, a bicycle, a bus pass, another car, tune. Get in there, learn it. Here's the thing though, take a tune that you know that works, set it aside. This runs. Play with these tunes over here. At the end of the day, Put this one back in if you have to, because you've screwed something up over here and it's not running, it's not starting or something. Put this one back in and drive. Flash drive, yeah. Flash drive would be perfectly fine, man. Just make sure that they open up on the new laptop before you delete them off the old one. The guy who built my wire harness used tiny little 20 gauge wire spliced off an 8 gauge battery feed to wire the relays and fuses. Well, they might run a little warm. Yeah, Ross. Ross says, am I allowed to use 2 laptops to tune my car? HP Tuner said I wasn't licensed on a new laptop. Sync your interface on the new laptop. Yeah, literally underneath the help, there will be resync interface. That will go out and verify it. You're good to go. Yeah, all of that is tied to the device itself, to the MPVI or MPVI2. Doesn't care which one you're on. About to finish my supercharger install with a new MAF style 2-bar. Truck was rubbing good. What was it rubbing against, Scott? What should I tune first? MAF. I'll do MAF first. Go in, fatten up the VE table a little bit into boost. If you are getting into boost, if you have not run boost on that previously, you're going from a 1-bar to a 2-bar, going to the 2-bar, build that out. I've got videos out there of how to actually build out a VE table to fatten it up into the boost range whenever we're going above 1 bar atmospheric. Do that, fatten it up, then go out and just tune the MAF. Had an issue where my computer went stupid, wouldn't let me tune anything, none of my cracks showed up. Resync. Uninstall, resync. Well, yes, first should be disable DOD, but I'm not. That's low-hanging fruit there, John. Not my daily driver. Just a toy turbo kit. Whole another motor built 6-liter BTR stage 2. Haven't put it in because of the tune. Yeah, Dustin, have fun. Try, man. You're here, which means you're interested in tuning. You're in the right place, man. I've got over 200, probably over 250 videos now. Now, granted, probably about 60 of those are me doing stupid stuff like putting a turbocharger on my supercharged truck, but the rest of them are me doing tuning stuff. So, what's the main thing you have to watch change for a cam? Probably timing down low and then just air. It's like literally you've lost efficiency down low on almost every cam, so you're going to have to make some bottom end adjustments. You'll have to bump timing up a little bit to get it to idle properly. That being said, you can idle. I mean, I can make a cam idle at negative timing, but not good. Ooh, 20 gauge wire powering your fans. Yeah, that would have melted down. There's a lot of stuff on this vehicle that you could power, but fans are not one of them on 20s. Thank you, Francisco. You are a great asset to this tuning community. Every single person. We got 64 people in here right now. We could not do this without these 64 people. Ted, struggling with the idle now. Shoot me a log, brother. What is the best way to solve bucking when the car is a manual with a massive cam? That's a good question, Chevy for Life. I'll have to think about that one. Get back to me on that. Yeah, LSX, I don't know, man. I'm afraid to comment on that because it sounds like you got a lot of weird wiring stuff going on. What does low idle timing do? Make it surge? Well, I mean, it can do all kinds of stuff. Besides surge, it'll also make your EGTs hotter than hell. Any reason there should be 50 degrees in the D-cell areas? A pretty decent cam 5.7 with high compression. Yeah, I mean, that is just so that you're not shooting gasoline into your exhaust WMR. So if you lower it down, you might get to the point where you start getting some exhaust pop. Awesome, Ted. Andrew, same question as what? There you go. John has the answer. Rev her up. Dump the clutch every time you take off. Problem solved. Mr. John 613 has a good point, LSX. It could just be a bad... There's dirt floor. Could be a bad tack module. Dirt floor, where have you been? I was asking questions about building cages earlier. I need answers. Trevor, can you create a sort of cheat sheet for locating different functions with an index? I could, but I'm going to tell you it's probably not going to happen because I'm really busy right now. But there is so many playlists. Hit up tuning101.com. I mean, this is just the best domain ever. Literally, that takes you to my homepage on YouTube. Just go through the playlist, look at your generation, stuff like that, and then there's a general overall like tips and tricks. Zeph, it's a little question. I want your take on this. Building a cage for the truck. Do I need to mount the cage to the frame? What will cause surging on Gen 3 when off throttle? Like at idle? No, more timing at idle will not create more heat. It'll create less heat because low timing at idle will allow the fuel to burn in the exhaust. What about cruise? Low RPM, high vacuum. It hits similar areas like 65 miles an hour. Yeah, that does sound excessive, WMR. And that is something that you need to... Oh, God. Zeph. Thank you. So I'm going to have to drill holes in my stupid body. Yeah, 49 at cruising at 65 miles an hour seems very excessive. So look at your cylinder air mass WMR performance and trim your timing accordingly. DFCO is off, but I don't get any pops. That's because you're commanding like 50 degrees of timing. So it is sparking so early whenever you let off the throttle that it is allowing it to burn all the fuel off before you get any. Lower your timing with DFCO off and you'll get pops and bangs. E38? Okay, yep. Not a bad tag module then. I mean, it shouldn't be voltage related LSX, but it could be. Kyler says, is it normal for VVE tables to be bumpy? Yes and no. But stick around. There will be a video coming out in the next 3 days or so where I talk about VVE tables and those bumps and why they occur and how we can get rid of them. So there's a special mentality that you have to go into on VVE tables based on the math that they are using to calculate those tables, and it'll help you out. Oh yeah, definitely any kind of low timing and DFCO off will kill your cats. Doesn't even have to be popping. Yeah, 25 to 35 should be fine WMR in those areas. Dude, I've already paid $25 for a tuning video. Why would I want to pay $30 for yours? I mean, if it's like 25 minutes long, it might be worth $30. Know what sensor is on the airbox filter on the 2011 6-liter Silverado that is not the MAF? Oh, yeah, man. LSX, you should get a refund. Anything full frame, you gotta go to frame. Anything unibody, you can use, the plates. They do make some cage joints. They can make the cage removable. I'm not so concerned about pulling the body. I just didn't know if I was going to have to go through the body into the frame or not, but I knew that you had done all the research on there. I just hate drilling holes in the body. You are correct, Chevy for Life. I would rather give you $30 than him $25. That's why I'm wondering if it could be an IAT sensor on there. Without looking at it, I couldn't tell. Any tips on Gen 5 spark tuning? I've watched the videos, made the changes, did not see any changes no matter how drastic. Well, spark is diminishing returns. You hit a point where you are at the best spark. After that, you're not really, if anything, you're being detrimental to it. So, depending on your modifications, you might be able to take a stock vehicle with a stock timing curve and add a few degrees in there and pick up a little bit of power. That's it. Now, once you get into modifications where you are actually bringing in more cylinder air mass and things like that, adding timing is not the answer. So you see guys out there like Faster Proms sprinkling in a little timing. That's what he does. He sprinkles in a little timing. You got to realize that he's sprinkling in a little timing where he's already pulled a ton of timing out. He's taking a lot of timing out before he's done the tuning. So he's gone in, he's pulled 6 degrees out of the whole table, and whenever he's sprinkling in a little timing, he's adding 2 degrees out where he's already pulled 6 degrees. So don't get too caught up on it. You're not going to go out there and suddenly just be like, oh, I'm making 100 more horsepower by adding 4 degrees of time. It's not going to happen. Don't you tell Grandfather Time. Listen, I could make huge power on a dyno by sprinkling a little timing if I pulled 10 degrees out and then started working back up. I'm not talking trash on Faster Plums at all. I love Jeremy. I love Jeremy. I'm just telling you what he's doing. Oh, thanks, John. Thanks. 200 advance. Yeah, Daniel, try 200 and let me know how it goes. Catan, he cuts all the parts out. Well, you've got to realize that the torque tables themselves do not change any timing beyond what you have set in your base advanced tables. They can pull timing. They're not going to advance any timing. But as long as your torque tables are near what your actual torque output is, they will be fine. Oh, that's fine, Chevy for Life. If you do, please send me a copy of that tune. I'd like to see it. I've seen a lot of professional tuners' tunes, thanks to our wide network of people that will, are more than willing to say, hey, so-and-so did my tune, here's a copy of it. And then some of them very impressed, like, this is very good tuning, like, really happy to see it. Then some of them that's just like, oh man, I paid $1,000 to have so-and-so that has a name attached to him tune this, and you look at it, it's like, this is dog crap. Oh yeah, his LSA porting is beautiful. You put 125 in VE table right off. Well, it shouldn't even have started with 125 off idle. Vincent, I've really found some very interesting stuff on the torque tables, and I can't wait to get the information out there. But the thing about torque tables is, as I said, you have to the way that you present the information to make it legible or understandable is really hard. Call most likely that is just adaptive idle. Something is happening that is freaking it out to cause -16. Jonathan, you got to be very careful about mail order tuners out there. There's a lot of mail order tuners, including me. I do mail order tuning. But what you will find a lot of the time is that they rely generally on canned tunes. They're going to have a set of tunes that they're looking at, that they're going to try and find the one that's closest to you, send it to you, have you pull a log, make a couple adjustments, send it back, and then that's the end of it. Whenever I do a mail order tune, and there's probably a couple people in here, I know John was in here earlier, that's one of my customers. If I get a tune done in less than 40 logs, that is very quick. We're talking, this is a weeks-long process that I go into where we look at everything at very minute details and create a perfect tune. Now, granted, I have the freedom to do that because I don't rely on tuning to feed my family, things like that. I do this as a side project because I enjoy tuning and I enjoy learning more and spending time looking at different vehicle platforms and how things are responding to different platforms and stuff like that. It is, Danny. The tour table is just one of the craziest things. You're right, Fabrication Rants. Dyno tuners are very bad about doing the same. Dyno tuners in particular like to work on volume, and so they want to get as many cars through at one time. Any input on timing ramps from cruise to wide open throttle on Terminator X? Man, if you saw my timing table sketch, it literally looks like the factory timing table with a couple degrees added into it. It's nothing crazy. I just use the base timing table on that, and then of course I have a timing modification table for nitrous, and that's it on my Terminator X. Brandon wants to know if everyone emailed support and tried to get the Mark hotkey added back. What did they take out? What is the Mark hotkey? How do I not know what this is? It can't be that important. I'm more interested in whether or not they're going to sell. Okay, here's my question. So they brought out Terminator X2, new software platforms to support GDI and the GM stuff and all that jazz. So, 20, John. You can shove 20 in there. Hotkey to mark a spot while logging. I didn't even know that was in there. I'm in Pittsburgh. So, I'm anxious to see if the auxiliary module that does the GDI and the virtual or the cam timing is something that they're going to release separately, because I would like to install that on the Cadillac and get back to the point where I could adjust the cams, because it is a dual overhead cam. I crap on virtual valve timing all the time. People don't realize I'm talking specifically about a pushrod V8 motor that has one cam. Adjusting that thing with a lot of advance and stuff doesn't make that big of a difference. You're not going to pick up all this magical power. Now, a dual overhead cam motor, yes, you can do magical things with virtual valve timing on a dual overhead cam motor. Pushrod V8, not so much. Come on, people. Get over yourselves if you think that you're out there making 40 more horsepower because you've advanced that cam 20 degrees down low. They didn't do it for that. They did it for fuel economy. And if you don't believe me, why didn't the LS7 have it? Well, John, how about you boost that 5.3 and then let us know? No, Francisco, you're not getting crazy gains off of VVT on a single cam setup. You're just not, because that thing can't change fast enough. In order to get crazy gains on stuff, you have to be able to adjust things like LSA which you can't on a single cam. You can on dual overhead cams. You can make that thing breathe completely different down low than you can up top. Whenever you're talking about a single bump stick, you're not changing the dynamics that much. Dustin, mail order tunes are $650. Doesn't matter if it is bone stock or a 1,000 horsepower vehicle. Brandon, I lowered base running airflow, lowered I spark for my G8. Everything is targeting 700 RPMs. Keep looking at your base running airflow, Brandon, and literally look at it compared. You got to get your mass airflow dialed in. Get your mass airflow dialed in. Make sure it is running spot on versus your commanded, and see what your calculated airflow is, and keep on chasing that base running airflow because there's probably still some deviation there. $650, man. Yeah, it's 9:01. It's time to wrap it up. That's cheap. I'm putting like 50, 60 hours into this thing. I'm making like $1 an hour doing tuning. Oh, hey, Andrew. Happy birthday, brother. Glad you got it. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. East Coast. I will answer your question real quick, and you got flagged for the word retard, so don't feel bad. Log my retard table and spark table stay on one line straight across. You're not logging cylinder air mass then. You don't even have to log cylinder air mass as long as you have with RPM and something else. You can change your rows over to, there's a math for calculating cylinder air mass, but spark is based off cylinder air mass, not manifold air pressure. That's why it's in grams instead of bar. So, okay, ABT, always be tuning. You guys have a great weekend. I'll probably do a live stream this weekend, so keep your eyes peeled. Oh, what did I just do? I hit the wrong button. Oh!